Token of to say thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. No, thank you.
You
That
have
was
to frame it.
well. I couldn't afford a frame.
Oh, very nice frames.
Oh, okay. Anyway, so let's see. Name tags. Everybody have a name tag, and we have some new people here today. You want to give stand up and tell us your name, where you're from, and a little bit about your wood turning experience.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Jim.
Hi, Jim.
I live in Patton Township. Hi, Ken. My experience with wood turning was about an hour a couple months ago with Paul and Ken, turning a handle for an ice cream scoop. So I have about an hour of experience.
There you
It's
go.
a pleasure being here. It's nice meeting you.
Good.
Hopefully we'll have a chance to talk later.
Do you have a lathe at home? Or
I do not. I do not have a lathe.
any other woodworking?
I have a lot of hand tools at home.
Okay.
Yeah, and I come here to use the power equipment, so.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very good. And I knew we have somebody else.
I'm Catherine Miller. I live in Wolfsburg, and I have lots of tools, but I don't have a lathe, and I always wanted to know how they worked. And so I came to the same class and made an ice cream scoop.
They were beautiful.
Yeah, it's fun.
They were both really, really nice. Did you use them yet?
Oh, yeah.
Do they work? Oh, okay. I just want to make sure.
Oh, yeah.
Very nice, very nice. So let's see, how many people, are you counting for people? Where's he at?
20.
We got 20? Yeah, that's good. How many online?
2, 3.
3?
Work with Claire.
3 online, cool. Oh, there's Reg, Mark, and who's the other one? Oh, John, okay, good. All right, so we have a meeting minutes. You want to talk about the meeting minutes? From last time we sent out. Anybody get a chance to read over them?
I make a motion we approve.
Sight unseen.
All in favor?
After he makes a little correction. Yeah, I didn't notice it until I printed it out. So if you correct that and send it to me, we'll get it all done. Okay? All right. So treasurer report. We don't have one right now. Larry's not on? No. Okay, Larry had a little bit of an accident. He put his fingers in a joiner. No. 3 fingers, so needless to say, he's not going to be able to do the demo today. So that's why we're sitting out here right now, so. Not pretty. I don't know what all happened. He's got an orthopedic surgeon. That's all I know right now. So as we hear more, we'll let you know. Okay, so if you want to get well card would be nice. So I'll see if I can get some stuff from him. And
Where would we send that to? Do you have
yeah, if you look in your old email, he sends out for. I can look it up and I'll put it out here. You have it? He lives in Bellefonte. He puts it up whenever he sends out for dues. So if you look in your old dues emails, he'll have his address where he can send a check. And along that line, dues are coming up pretty soon. January's coming soon, so if you have it, let me know. I can take it and I'll get him the money. That's what I usually do. Give them back there to Mike Lebo, and he'll collect it, and then I'll send it over. All right. So if there's anybody have any questions about that? What the amount is? $25.
Hey, Ken,
Yeah.
I've got his address. Do you want it? Larry's address. Do you want it?
Yeah. Go ahead and say it. That way I
It's
don't have.
119 Flint Court in Bellefonte, 16823.
Word Bellefonte 16823.
All right.
We'll put that in the meeting minutes, and that way, if you want to, you can send it out.
okay, great.
Okay. Old business. classes, pen classes. Paul, do you want to tell us about what happening with the
Yeah, we had
classes?
2 pen classes scheduled in the month of October. The first class was canceled because they only had 2 students, and the second class went, we had 4 students. For future classes, we've got 2 pen classes this month. It'll be next Wednesday and the Wednesday following.
They're wood ones.
Wood pen classes. We'll also have 1 class in December on the 14th because of the schedule for for December is a little screwy because the first Wednesday is the 7th, the second Wednesday is the 14th, the third Wednesday would be the 21st, and we figured that's just too close to Christmas. So we're only gonna do 1 class in December. And then kind of a first announcement that we will be doing a milking stool class in January. This will be a 2-session class, so they'll meet 2 Wednesdays sequentially, the second and third Wednesday of January, and they'll make a 3-legged stool, which is the kind of, we've done that for middle school kids, and we've done it for adult classes as well. But it'll be the first time we've offered it here.
So, was Larry making parts and pieces for it?
We have pretty much, well, we have all the stools already made, I think.
The
and-
seats.
Huh? Seats,
Seats.
the seats. The legs, he was gonna get them ripped, and I don't know where that stands right now.
Okay.
Hope he wasn't putting them on a plane, make them
We've got a while yet.
Yeah, okay. Well, keep me up to date, and if
Okay,
you need
yeah.
anything, I can probably help out with
Mhm.
some of that, okay? Let's see. Reed's Gap. You guys want to talk about Reed's Gap a little bit? Travis, go ahead and, why don't you go ahead and put up the,
Yeah, give me a minute here. Let's see.
Brian, why don't you say a little bit about Reed's Gap? Travis and Brian both showed up and helped me at the Reed's Gap. It was Reed's Gap State Park down there by Lewistown, and it was a good time. So go ahead and stand up and tell us what you did and what you think.
Yeah, it was a cool, brisk morning. That we had, I don't know, it was probably 1,200 people showed up. A lot of interest in the wood turning club, and we each took turns doing demonstrations. Learned how to turn my first top there, again. And turned some other items. Kids really enjoyed it. So, but, a lot of interest in the wood turning.
Yeah, go ahead back to some of the first slides. Right afterwards, we got a really nice email from Kylie Warndorf. She's the one that invited us, and she wants us to come back again next year. And she's asked us to save a date, and it was, I can't remember what the date was, October 14th. So if you've never experienced being out in public like that and turning and just, it's really nice just giving stuff away. You know, you turn the top real quick and you give it away to one of the kids that's there, and it's just, it's a lot of fun. It's special, so it's a good thing to do. Go ahead and go to the next slide. There's the general layout. You can see the Cub Scouts right there in the upper right. They had that first tent. Their food was outstanding. It was really, really good. They gave away free apple cider. They had free ice cream, fresh apple cider. They were squeezing it right there as they were going along. There's the apple cider they were making down there in the bottom right.
What was the name of the actual event, Ken? Like the
It was
festival?
fall festival. It's Reed's Gap Fall Festival. So go ahead and
I was surprised how many people were actually there.
yeah.
I
This
mean,
is
even this picture,
that's right.
there was
in
a
the
lot more
beginning.
there later.
Yeah. There's kind of our display, how we had it set up. We had some old pieces like baseball bats and old mallets and things like that in the bottom right. And then there was our wood turning section right there. And then on the other side, we had a display of some of the things that we had turned. And it went over real well. People were trying to buy the stuff that was on the table. But we weren't allowed to sell anything. And usually when you go to a state park, they don't allow you to do that. Next, go ahead. There's just another picture of Travis turning. And in fact, what he's turning is back there on the table right now, so.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
But that was a nice picture. My wife came along too. She got the best pictures, is like the one on the left there, is the ones that she made, she took, so. Paul's over there on the right, but you can't see him because he's in the, there's the people in the way. Or Brian, I'm sorry, Brian's over there. All right, and go ahead and do the next. There's some more of us turning. You can see the kids are just watching intently. They love to see those chips fly, and they love to try the tops. I don't know what it is about tops, but they're very, very popular. And then we had, we got a new member.
So to tell
Brian- it was
them the
really
story about
Brian, yeah, Brian was over here turning, and we really had a good crowd. I mean, they were watching them, and chips were flying, and there had to be 20 people. All of a sudden, we hear whoop whoop, and here comes a pickup truck in, and Smokey Bear gets out of the back, and that whole crowd just went from wood turning right over. There was nobody, so I invited him over, and so he paid his dues. So I have his dues, but they're all in acorns. So I don't know if we're going to be able to take those to the bank or not. But that was a lot of fun having Smokey there. It's he never really did do any turning, but he's interested in taking a pen class, from what I understand. And I think that was the
honey
last
sticks.
one.
He wanted some honey dippers.
Yeah. And that's just the end right there. So
That's nice.
That's cool.
yeah. So it was a fun time. So if opportunity comes up, really, it's a lot of fun to get out there.
Great.
All right, new business. We got an email, Reg got an email forwarded to me from Endless Mountain Turners. They're looking for a demonstrator. They're out of Troy, New York. Does anybody do demonstrations here? They're interested. They're looking for demonstrators. So I'm sure they'd be willing to pay a couple bucks or at least your travel money and a little stipend, but I'm not sure what the deal is. I haven't contacted them. But if anybody's interested in doing demo, let me know and I'll get you the contact information and you can go from there. So, no, Tony, that'd be a good one. You have a good one there, so. And coming up, we have the Winterfest. That's this weekend, the 5th and 6th right here. We're gonna be right there. Got 3 of us coming to the Winterfest. And it's gonna be November 5th and 6th from 10 to 5. So if you're interested, come and buy some of our stuff. I think there's gonna be 42 vendors. The parking lot is gonna be filled with vendors. In here is gonna be filled. The next 2 rooms are all filled with vendors. So, huh? They're gonna have people park up at the school. And I think they're having a shuttle, and I think and it's walkable too. So it's gonna be. If you're interested, we had fun last year. Mike, you want to say anything about it? Very popular. Yeah, it was. So anyway, that's a good time. So you're all invited to come along and buy stuff. So just wanted to mention that. Here's a little flyer they have. If you want to look at it, it'll be up here. Okay. Let's see what else. Oh, the time's from 11 to 5. Merch store. You wanna? Where is he? There he is. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
so there's a T-shirt back in the show and tell. I don't know if you want to pick it up and show it. This is one example of one product from the particular store that I set up. The challenge is, the intent is that you'll get a link, you'll be able to go to the store and you can buy anything with the club logo. The problem is that right now it's in the account's in my name and my account. It really needs to be in the club's name and hooked up to the club's bank so the money goes to the club, not me. And the process of doing that, Larry and I have been working for the last month to try to get this account. And it involves us proving to a third-party company that Google hires that we're really a nonprofit, but not that we're just not a nonprofit because we have all the documentation on the website, we have to prove that we're not a Russian kid in his basement pretending to be a nonprofit who pulled the documents off of our website. And I think I've sent them 4 things, all of which didn't count, and we're continuing to go back and forth. So it sounds like Larry might not be
Well,
ready to
his mind is
sort through, to sort through documents to find what I need. But
Yeah. I don't know where it's at.
anyway, that's a hiccup in that. But anyway, it's coming along. Do you want me to talk about this
Yeah, go ahead
stuff
and you can
next?
talk about spam emails.
So there's two topics on the email front. One is that we continue to get people trying to scam us by grabbing our email addresses off the website and then sending an email. Typically, it's to one of the executives or somebody's on the executive committee, and they take it from the president. So it looks like it's coming from Ken, and it says, "Hey, I need some gift cards. Can you buy some gift cards and send them to me?" So, bottom line, if you get anything like that where Ken's asking you for money out of the blue, it's a scam.
But if you do buy a gift card, I can give you my address. And send it directly to me. Don't send it to the bad guy. Okay? Don't. It's not a good idea.
The other thing is, several times people have said that they haven't gotten the emails from the club, and it sort of comes and goes. And I found that things end up in my spam folder 1 month that I've read for the past 6 months. And so these things change. The rules of how they detect the spam changes and so on. And there are some things you can do about it. So I've made up this little piece of paper you can take away. I sent it out to everyone in an email, but knowing that some people aren't getting the emails, the very people who need this, I printed it out in case you're here. So you can pick one of those up at the table. But I wanted to mention what it says just to go over it real quick.
Was there any email about tonight's meeting?
Yes.
You were missed. I just checked my spam folder, it wasn't in there.
So, one change that I made this last week was the emails that have been sent from the club through our lists have been coming from whoever sent them. Which means if you want to tell your email program, not to throw those in spam, you need to know everybody who might potentially send it. The change I made was to make those come from the list itself. And so you'll see things come from NVW-all or NVW-members, and so those are the only 2 addresses you need to tell your email program about to say, hey, don't put these in spam. So the first thing, somebody's calling. The first thing is to look in your spam folder. I found stuff there that surprised me. A lot of times that's where things end up. The next 4 things on the list are how to get things from going in your spam folder. One is to take these addresses, the nvw-all@googlegroups.com, put that in your contacts. The other one is nv-members@googlegroups.com. Put that in your contacts list. And then there's a link that I sent that tells you how to whitelist those 2 addresses. So depending on the program you have, there's a variety of different ways you can actually sort of force the issue and whitelist these addresses as valid, and it will never put in your spam, or supposedly.
What does whitelist mean?
Whitelist is a little bit better than putting in your contacts. It's telling the email system that that's an address you want, no matter what. If it comes from this address, put it in my inbox. And so that's what this is about. And many of you probably got the email. And if you didn't, pick up the paper. Any questions?
May I say anything?
Yeah.
Do take this very seriously, folks, because I got hacked about a week ago. And in fact, I've been very, very stressed for the last couple of days. The hackers have tried to remove significant amounts of money from various accounts. And so do be very diligent about what you click on.
And again, any gift cards on my way, all right? I'll make sure they get to the right place. Thank you, Reg. Anybody have any questions about that? Okay, cool. So we'll go through real quick and do the executive committee updates. Dan, was there anything on Bull Mansion?
I haven't heard a beat from them.
Okay. Paul, did you have anything else? Mentoring program.
We have a call for a mentor. I assume they're a paid member here. I haven't bothered to hit them up on that. I'm just so thrilled to have somebody who is interested in.
I think she just signed up.
Okay, great. Okay, so they live up in Park Forest, and this would be somebody who I think has taken some like pen turning classes from Paul, and I think is looking for general basic tool handling skills along the lines of what the skill set somebody would work on developing in our intro class probably. So any mentors out there, particularly the idea would be to try to pair with somebody who's on that side of town. And the general understanding is that the person being mentored would travel to the person's house studio of the mentor, you know. So somewhere up on the north side of town.
Okay. So if anybody's interested, see Paul or me. I know a lot of that.
Yeah, feel free to email me. Oh, and by the way, speaking of the Bowl Mansion, I was working at the store the other day, and the guy who took over Bob Cameron's place was in there, and I asked him about how things are going, and so far as I know, he said they just sold some stuff from some of our stuff, and it's still selling.
Okay.
So, you know,
Well, maybe that's something we can do next year. We can look at restocking their supplies. Probably maybe fill. What's that?
They have to give us some trees first,
Okay.
because they went specifically from wood from their.
Yeah.
sure.
Yep.
But now this new fella who took, I actually saw Bob Cameron was in today too. The guy who's replaced Bob, does he just have a different kind of disposition where he's not going to seek us out? We have to kind of press him a little bit, or hey, do you got any wood? Just kind of remind him, or is it just totally different personality? I take it. I mean, that's kind of vibe I get. He's.
I've never even heard of him. I've been contacted with Anna, who's the top dog at it.
Yeah.
She keeps saying, well, they're going to the event, but she's never called me. So.
Okay. Well, I'm sure he's still getting in the groove. So.
Yeah. He's aware of. You know, I think he's aware that it's a good thing, and he knows that our stuff's selling and it is, you know, benefiting his mission. You know.
Yep. So, all right. Very good. Multimedia. Travis, got anything? No.
Oh, not really. I bought a new cable.
Pretty sexy.
Yeah, pretty nice. Communications. Jim, you have anything else you want to talk? You pretty much. Yeah. Okay. Mike program.
You got a list there. Ken's gonna be our demonstrator in December. He's gonna do some Christmas ornaments.
Unless somebody else wants to do something.
January, we have a fella coming from York area, Jacobus, that's gonna do some turning spears.
Cool.
And I think in February, I believe Tony's up.
Yeah, that's right. What are you going to work on?
More of the boxes from the solid blocks,
Stage.
the geometric
Yeah.
patterns.
Okay, cool. That'll be fun. Women in turning. Jan, not here.
Just one quick thing,
Yeah.
I'm still looking for people for February and for March and April, if any of you would like to demo something. It's not a big deal.
That's not hard. So if you're doing boxes or you're doing anything, it's, you know, whenever you're turning at home, you could probably show it here and people would learn something. So, all right, now we're up to show and tell. I'll do mine first and then you guys can go. Mine is kind of weird. Yeah, I was making pens and I was just ripping them out real fast. So I changed styles and I went ahead and did these. And if you feel the ends of these, this one is kind of nice, it's ebony. This one is It looks like a mahogany, I think. And it's not exactly right. It feels a little oblong. And then this one is really out of round. You can really feel it's wood on one side and metal on the other side. And I went, what the heck is going on? I didn't notice it until I put them together, right? Well, I looked at my lathe and the head had come loose a little bit and was turning just ever so slightly. But when it did, it is just enough to show up in the pen. So it was weird knowing that whenever I went to go put it back on, I turned it on and it was really waggling. So it really had loosened itself up. So just a word of warning, make sure they're always aligned and make sure you got everything tightened down. I don't usually check it, but I'm gonna check it every once in a while now, so that was Kingwood too, so I'm not sure. I'm gonna be able to
What
do
specifically was loose?
the whole head was loose. So instead of being the drive part of it had loosened up, the nut had loosened up, and it started to swivel a little bit. Yeah, the whole head, the headstock was just moving, so a little bit scary, but it worked out, I think. I'll work on them, I'll see if I can save them, but, so, Dan, go ahead.
Pretty obvious, but this, we have the heavenly choir. Then we have the unheavenly choir. A couple years ago, I did these. Jim Tony said, well, where's your fallen angel? Well, here it is. Probably like Mae West. Takes a while, but they're fun.
How many of those you make?
These, I think 20 some originally.
Yeah, mostly they're out to friends and family?
Yeah, there'll be some for the sale.
Okay, very nice.
Yeah, my sister wanted 6 of them. My niece wanted 6 of them. I said, I gave him 5. That's enough.
So how long did it take you to turn and how long did it take you to paint?
Painting's quick. The
Really?
turning is time-wise. The wings are thin
Yeah,
and they're held on by a screw that's 1/4 inch hole is 3/6 of an inch deep. And you do both sides from that. It's very gentle,
yeah,
but it works. And on these, the wings are reversed from these. I've done these for several years. And the what's that magazine you put out online?
yeah, the AAW magazine, yeah.
Not the magazine you get in the mail.
Oh, okay.
That thing they do quarterly, Fundamentals or whatever.
Oh, yeah, yep, fundamentals.
There's a picture of this. There wasn't any instructions, there's just a picture. I said, I can copy that. I don't have the imagination to come up with them. If I see it, I can copy it.
You wanna do yours next?
That's what they are.
Dan, I can't see from here, what's the orientation of the wings on the lathe? Is that cross grain or spindle? Can't see from
It is cross-grain. It is like doing a bowl.
like a bowl.
Yeah. In fact, most of them done with either 3/8 inch bowl gouge.
Very nice.
And of course, the halo is SQ.
Very cool. Travis, you wanna do yours? Run up there real quick.
So this is I don't know if any of you remember, were here for the thing I did about drills back in February. This is what I was drilling out with the Forstner bit. And I just finished the stem and the rest of it at the Fall Fest thing, so. I have like a glass insert that I gotta figure out how to cut to the right length. So. And it's oak.
You get glass insert first, you make the wood fit in.
Well, that's probably would work better. Yeah. I bought like a thing of test tubes and trying to cut them, I already broke 2 of them the wrong way trying to fit them. But
You put the glass in, is that for days?
yeah, if you really want to use it to drink out of or
Yeah.
whatever.
And paint doesn't taste good when it's mixed with glue.
And this is a water-based poly finish. Just trying to get like a different color. Seems like oak really turns amber with the oil-based finishes. And this is one that I actually did this last year, but I never completely finished it. And it's kind of one of those pieces that I've never been completely satisfied with. You know, it's like the more I look at, the more I see things. I don't know if anybody things like that. It's like everybody says they like it, but I'm like, oh man, I just see things that I screwed up. Yeah. That's the only two I've done.
That's a beautiful piece. So where'd you get the black knot?
This is on my family's property. Got a couple of them.
Bring some in and auction them.
Maybe.
Maybe if we can pry them out of your hands. Huh? Who's next up
You gonna
there?
buy them with your gift cards?
yeah. Denny, you want to go ahead?
Ken had made some Christmas trees, so I went home and tried making some, and this is folded hickory, and these are walnut. And,
How deep did you put in the pencils?
oh, I don't know, quarter of an inch.
Did you have any trouble with them chipping when
No,
you're drilling?
I dubbed the bit.
Aha.
Yeah, you have to dub it or it'll rip.
Yep. Yep.
Took the cutting edge off of it. You won't drill metal with it, you can drill wood.
Too sharp is not good for.
Mulberry, okay, when I got to bill it, it was the color that's on this. I thought, wow, that's really pretty. Cut it open, and it looks like this.
It'll change.
Well, that's what my question is. Do I set it in the sun? What do I do?
Leave it out.
It's been how long? Couple of months?
Over a month, yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
2 months, yeah.
And all it did was change shape. Because I took it, I turned it to the finish, you know, and then just, I was hoping it would turn that color real quick.
Give it time, Denny, and it'll turn brown.
Yeah, I mean, and then I just wanted to show these. I make Christmas trees out of horseshoes.
Kind of what is that?
Ironwood. Yeah, so that's it.
Nice.
Hey Denny, one way you might be able to change a color that I don't know the tannin content of mulberry, but I know black locust has a good bit of tannin. White oak is famous for it. If you were to put that in an igloo cooler with a dish of like janitorial strength ammonia, if it has tannins in that wood, it will absolutely darken and potentially pretty quick. I will say it's usually kind of temperature sensitive. I think I usually get better colors when it's a little warmer. You don't want to stick your head in there when you open the lid, mind you. And if it's in there too long, you could like black locust will go black, almost like ebonized. A white oak will tend to get more of a reddish brown, like stick leaf furniture. That is what he used, you know, kind of a chemical stain. So if there's no tannin content, you put it in a cooler of ammonia, it ain't gonna do anything, right? You might want to test with a sample because you know, some woods can go really dark rather quickly. Traditionally, they used I forget the name of the ammonia, but it was like extremely powerful ammonia, like something blueprint makers would use. But I found that like 8% janitorial strength is plenty.
Good, thank you.
You do that before it's finished?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's cool is it will change the color, but you know, like more like a dye rather than a pigment where you're filling the pores with pigment. You're not clogging the pores with anything like that, and so the figure really will pop. You know, it has a different look.
Did they sell that ammonia at Ace Hardware?
I believe they do.
That's what this was all about. That's what this was all
Yeah,
about.
it's a plug for my
Plug for-
Gotta make my quota.
Yeah. Still haven't gotten any depth gloss lacquer from them yet.
Have you looked? I haven't. I can check. For you.
No, I actually got in contact with Deft and, they're having supply chain trouble.
Yeah, that's a big issue. Yeah.
So they said they haven't been putting any gloss spray lacquer out lately. So it's gone downhill.
So you're looking for the spray gloss lacquer.
Yeah. I have my name in there, so when it comes in, I'm supposed to get it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So,
Okay.
yeah, I already did that. So thank you.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, who's up next there?
Yeah, you might be.
Okay, no, somebody there.
Tony.
Well, you can go.
Oh, all right, I'm new to all this. This is one of my first turns years ago, well, 1 year ago when I started turning. But this is really, the top of this was this big and that thick, and probably one of the first things I turned. It's a vase, or a bud vase for grasses, and dry arrangements. I took it in the house.
It's a
to
weed
my-
pot.
I was pretty proud of it, my wife. It's just, that would look better if it was cut off about here, and it's, a little shiny, and so I was a little upset. So I took it out, set it on my shelf. Well, I left it on the windowsill for about 2 months, just to, And then I took it out and put it away. And then the other day I looked at it and I said, that is ugly. So I cut it off and turned it down before I cut it off. And then I made this bowl out of the bottom. And I just use that for my evening meds. I throw it in the middle of the kitchen table. Don't forget to take them. But then when I parted it, I should have measured this first, right? So now I have to plug this and finish it. But that's horse chestnut, is what it is.
Or get one of Travis's glass tubes and put it in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you wouldn't have to cut it off.
Yeah. This is, I took a cherry tree down for a friend of mine. This is a weeping cherry, Japanese weeping cherry they call them. It's an ornamental tree. And it has a nice grain. This is some of the limb wood where a branch came together, and anyhow, I turned this down, and I did some little research. I've been in the green industry all my life, and I planted enough of these guys, and I really just did some research tonight. There's 2 grafts on this. They take a straight trunk from a cherry tree, and it's probably a Japanese cherry of some type, and graft it to a sturdy root. So when that graft is done, then they take hybrid grafts from the weeping cherries and they put them on top all the way around. And so there's actually 2 grafts to these trees. I never realized that. I knew the top graft was in it. So you may get a different color wood in the trunk than you will on the branches. I don't know yet. I didn't do the trunks yet. Any trunk. So that's that one. I have these marked as oak, not oak, cherry, and I think that's what they are. I forgot to mark them when I was done. There's just some earlier bowls. It's actually the first burl I ever turned. These 2 here. And I kind of like this. I like things like this where you have holes and stuff. This one, I should have left that one in. I experimented with the resin. Yeah, it's not, okay. That. And this, I just finished this. This is the one I was telling you about, Robin. I was asking you about the finish, and you were telling me about the ammonia.
Oh, was that? Yeah,
Up the store. Yeah. And this is, I don't know how many times I walked by this tree that was down on my property, and it's probably been down for at least 10 years. But the base looked pretty solid, so I cut the part of the root and part of the stump, trunk off, and, this is pretty good diameter, it's about that wide. And I did 3 slices on it, this was the middle slice, and it's, I don't know what kind of oak it is, there was no bark or anything. I'd say we're predominantly red oak up where I live, on Nittany Mountain. So I just did this, and I was trying to figure out how to finish this. I guess I got lazy. This is actually polyurethane along here. I had the whole thing done in polyurethane. And it just wasn't smooth enough that I didn't like it, so I ended up stripping the whole thing, resanded it, and I used walnut oil on this. So.
Is it wipe-on poly, or is it just?
Yeah, I just used the wipe-on poly, yeah. And I used the glossy. I usually like satin, but I thought I'd try a glossy on it. But I like the way it brought out the grain there. Okay, my son-in-law bought my daughter a birthday gift, and it was an acorn. She showed it to me, right? So I said, oh boy, see if I can try to turn in one of those. So I turned a bunch of them. I got stuck on them for a while. And it's a good way to use up a lot of this little wood. I mean, and I have a lot of that laying around.
Don't be giving people ideas, I got my eye on something.
And this is actually some, where's my first one? I think that is my first one. That's river birch on top there. It's been dead for quite a while along my driveway, so I cut it down and got some nice bulk birch out of it. And then I wanted to do these boxes. I always wanted to do that. I talked to Rob Bob first time I met him up at Ace. I was buying a Fosner bit, and he asked me what I was going to do with it, and he said, well, you don't drill those things. So, okay, I don't know how to do it. So he told me, and I gave me the name of YouTube to watch, and I did it. And I was watching, and you're supposed to have that pop. All right, I don't know why, but you're supposed to. But anyhow, the first one I did popped, and none of the other ones did. So,
Well, the pop is a wood turner thing.
yeah, that's what I was
Wood turner's
talking
like
to
the
Kevin
theater
down
pop.
at.
But when people buy it, they don't want to be fumbling around
I was
trying to.
talking to Kevin down at Woodcraft, yeah, that's exactly what he told me. He said, people want to put things in, they want to lift this off.
That's right.
So I did a couple of them, and this was Osage orange, arborvitae, just a dead piece of wood I found in the woods.
It's called fogwood,
Yeah,
found on the ground.
I forgot to mark this. I forgot to mark this one too. I believe it's dogwood, and I'm almost certain it is, and because I have a lot of that in the shop there. So anyhow, that's dogwood. That's pretty much what I have. So.
Cool. Jim, you wanted, oh, okay, Tony.
So I've been working on some small boxes and exploring different shapes and how the lids mate with the vessel, whether they're inset or if they're a little higher. And with finials, a number of times I'll make several finials for each vessel just to see how they look. The first finial I made for this one is slightly larger in diameter and height. And I have that one right here. And it just didn't fit the base. So I turned the second smaller one. I'm much happier with that. The sycamore on the top, I just love the grain in there. It almost looks like it's chatter work. So the finish, this was the last one that I've done. What I've done on the last few is while it's still attached to the lathe, I'll do some short initial sanding with it spinning, and then I'll shut it off and I'll take some isopropyl alcohol and just lightly spray the wood to lift the fibers. I'll let it spin, put my hand to it, heating it up some, and it really does raise the fibers. Do that 2 times, and it just takes it down to glass finish. And with second sandings, I'm running with the grain as opposed to against it. And it's worked real well for me.
And then what finish did you put on top?
Almost everything I do is just the min-wax semi-gloss. And then that was finished out with the Beal buffing system. I really like playing with the finials and looking at a number of vessels online. People are all over the place with them. Some really exaggerated very high. This finial is actually the same height as the base. I don't know if there's a right or a wrong. I think it's just personal taste.
My finials always end up looking like chess pieces. The knight.
And this, the egg shape, finial on that just kind of brings it up to a nice point. That's what I've been up to.
And last but certainly not least.
I didn't for these.
No.
I just wanted to do a quick update. So this bowl may look familiar because I brought it last week, or last month. Last month, it was finished with just furniture polish, or a thinner furniture wax, pretty high-end furniture wax. And I used it, and it got some food, there was candy in it, and it got some marks on it, and so I tried to clean it. And as soon as I touched it with water, it was like the wax wasn't even there. It was gone, and it was just bare wood, and the grain was raised. So I washed it all with water. The wax was gone from the whole bowl, and refinished it with Osmo top oil, and then 2 coats of that, and then and sanded, and then topped it with butcher block treatment that's oil and wax mixed together. So anyway, that's the difference, and my experience with just using wax.
So does candy have alcohol in it? Is that what it's
No.
It was peanut butter cups, and I used a wet rag, and it was gone. Oh, very nice, very nice. So that reminded me of something we were talking about. We talked about some of his first pieces. Does everybody have their first bowl they ever made? Do they have their first map? Why don't we do a show and tell next time? Bring in your first bowl, your first spindle piece, the first thing. I think that'd be kind of a fun show and tell. You can bring other stuff too, but try to bring those in. I think that'll be kind of fun to see. So if everybody's okay with that. Okay, now we got the wood auction. We got an auctioneer.
Sure.
Yeah. These, you want to talk about where most of the wood came from? Barry, you want to say something?
Yeah, these 4 boxes came from Finley's shop a year or so ago, or a couple of years ago. He said, stop by and I'll give you some stuff. And this is just a fraction of the stuff. As he was throwing it in a great big box, his wife Linda kept saying, more, more. She was trying to get a little order out of chaos, but we thought for those of you that took the new gym, it'd be kind of neat to work with some pieces that he created. This is his cutting and putting together, so we thought we'd give you a chance on those.
Thank you for bringing those in. Nice. So, auctioneer.
What do we got here?
Well, it looks like sassafras is one, and
Well, we're gonna run this through pretty quick, so pay attention and yell loud when you want to bid on something. Who give me $1 here?
oh, come on, it's worth $1.
I get $1?
I'll do $1.
I got $1. Who give me $2? Going once, going twice. I ain't messing around. $1. See, all this stuff came from Jimmy Finley.
Correct.
Yeah, I think you should just do it by the flag.
That's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah, that was the way I separated.
They start me out there at $2. I got 2. Who give me $4? I got 4. Who give me 6? Looking for 6.
6.
I got 6. Who give me 8? 2, 4, 6, 8. Yeah, that's only half of it. I got 8.
Any,
Looking for 10.
any idea what's in there?
Yeah, most of it is.
I knew I was gonna get that.
This little cardboard, throwing that right in, knowing the whole deal.
You know who owned the
There's no
property?
dust on it.
Where the wood came from?
Huh?
Who owned the property where the wood came from?
Yeah, well, it's hard to tell with Jim Finley where this money come from. You don't have a clue. I wouldn't go down that road.
Sure William Penn didn't have that.
But where was I 10? Somebody give me 10?
Billy Penn. Billy Penn. Not
I got 8 yet. I got 10 now. Who give me 12? Looking for 12. Going once. Going twice. There you go, young man. What do we got here? Oh, yeah. See, the trouble is, Jim isn't here to be able to give us the scientific name of this crap. Because he used to say, well, that's a such and such, and throw a name like that long, and I'd say, really, Jimmy, is that really the name, or you just bullshit us again? Because none of us are going to be able to figure out if it is or isn't.
Once they have the Latin name.
Yeah, exactly.
That's box elder there.
Yeah.
Well, let's start this out at $2. I got 2. Who give me 4?
You get 4.
I got 4. Who give me 6? I got 6. 8.
You give me 8.
I got 8. 10. I got 10. 12. Looking for 12. Going once. Going twice. $10. Looks to be like a lot of walnut in here. Not quite sure what that is, but it's, yeah. Started out at $2. Who give me 2?
Give you $1.
I'm on it for 2.
Okay.
You give me $4 now?
You didn't say you were, so I got it at 2.
Oh, so okay, I'm on it for 4 then.
Okay.
If you got it at 2, if you want to start it at 2, we can play this game all night.
It's way too expensive for me.
Got 4, looking for 6. Who give me 6? Anybody give me 6? Ah, come on, I don't really need this wood, guys. Come on, give me 6.
I'll give you 6.
I got 6.
Now's your chance, knock it off.
The only trouble is, I really did want this one. Going once, going twice, $6. Oh. Real nice pieces in here. Give me 2. 2, 4. I got 2, looking for 4. Got 4 right here. Who give me 6? Come on, who give me 6? All of them.
Forgot you can't count.
10 pieces. Where are we at? How much did I pay for this? $4. You're gonna let me have it for $4, guys? Thanks, I appreciate that. Sold to me, $4. Is this stuff here
Yep,
Finley too?
yep, 2 lots there, and there's a pen lot too. Do the rounds and then do
All the round sticks. Who give me $2? Got 2, who give me 4? Looking for 4. I'll give you 4. Who give me 6? Where my 6 at? Give me 6? Give me 6.
Five. There you go, $5.
Going once, going twice. Sold, young man.
Well, wait, so you don't need me for stuff.
Yeah, I have that same wife.
There we go, ladies and gentlemen. 4 pieces, $2. Who give me 2? 4. Who give me 4? I got Give me 4. 4. Who give me 6? Come on, let's roll. Give me 6. Somebody give me 6. Going once, going twice. $4.
This is not from Jim, this is from, that's from Brian.
Supposed to be mulberry.
Okay. Mulberry. I'm not sure, but this I think was on property that William Tenn owned at one time. Does the bag go too?
Sure.
Right there.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's all pretty much the same. A few bigger pieces. I got 4 more in there. Got 4 here.
So how many is that total?
No, I ain't. Come back. Come back.
Shoe on.
Shame on you making fun of Buffalo boys. Okay, I'm looking for $2. 2, looking for 4. Looking for 4. Don't let Ken have it for $2. Come on. Looking for 4. Looking for 4. $2, Ken. I believe that's all we got.
Yeah, I've got the pens,
Oh, the book, yeah.
pen blanks there and the books. The pen blanks there too, Jim.
Oh, these are from Jim too?
Yep.
All right. The pen blanks, what we got? 1, 2, 6, 8 pen blanks. $2. I want it for 4. Who'll give me 6? So give me 6. Told me for 4. Last chance. 1. All right. Okay. All right, the lathe book, complete guide. This would probably be a good one for you.
Yeah, I'll take it, solid.
Had Jeremy Carter over too, he's a good guy. How many pages can you count?
Good picture, seriously. Most of you guys would understand most of this.
You can understand it, we can.
Oh yeah, I got this down pat. Who we give you $2? I got 2. Who give me 4? Oh, we're all so smart. I got 4. Who give me 6? Oh, we're all so smart that we don't need a book on lead 30. That's just one. Come on, none of you are that damn good.
I just need to hold up my shelf. That's
Okay, well, going once for the fellow for the shelf, going twice. So,
Nope, got one more.
Big piece of walnut.
Mike, what did that sell for?
$4.
Do you see this?
And now the big gun. Tell us about the piece.
This came from Del Garrity. It's been treated on the ends, and it was probably cut early summer. So it's been sitting undercover since then. You need to take a chainsaw to it to make it manageable at all, but
Looks like a
a
Y.
lot of wood.
It's a Y, right?
I believe it was a fork, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, that's some
Got some figure in it?
good figure in, yeah. Alrighty. Who give me $2?
I'll give you 2.
Who give me 4? I hear 4? $4 worth of firewood there, for God's sake, fellas. Come on. Going once. Going twice. It's yours, kid.
Right.
What's what you wish for, huh?
Just trying to get the bidding going. I don't have my pickup truck.
I'll drop it off sometime.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Yeah. So, before we get to the demo for today, we have some gourds here that we grew. They're spares. Anything you want, they're free for the taking, so please come up and grab them. I don't want to take any home because they're just going to go into compost. So please, yeah, so just take all of them if you want to, so please. All right, so demonstration. As you know, Larry couldn't be there to do sharpening. So, yeah, he found out. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a video in replacement because it just happened and we really didn't have time to get anybody prepared to do a demonstration. So it's gonna be Wood Turning 101, video for sharpening your wood tools. And it's by, hey Mike, who is it from? It's from the video. What's that? Okay. So Mike guarantees it's a good video. And it's how long? 40 minutes? 42 minutes.
One of the questions I get frequently asked from students is, does my tool need sharpening?
Yep.
9 times out of 10, the answer is yes. It needs sharpening. Do we need to sharpen quite frequently? And oftentimes when you're having any kind of an issue getting a clean cut, that's one of the first places you want to look at, is the tool sharpened, and then is it sharpened properly? Let's talk about the equipment that I use to sharpen it. Let's start with the grinder. I prefer an 8-inch grinder over a 6, mainly because it's easier to source wheels and it has additional weight to it. Beyond that, all I really care about is that my grinder runs my wheels smooth and vibration free. If you've got a lot of vibration coming from your grinding system, that will translate into a poorly ground tool. So what we've got here is an 8-inch grinder, slow speed, 1725 RPM, as opposed to a high speed at 3400 RPM. The wheels are more important than the grinder or the speed. We'll move the guards out of the place, and we'll keep them out of place while we're doing this demo on here also. The wheels that typically come on your grinder are dark gray in color. Those are really good for one thing as a wood turner in my shop, and that's garbage can ballast. The cheapest wheels that you'll typically find are white, which are aluminum oxide. Those white wheels, or they'll come in a ruby color. They're a monocrystalline structure, and so when they say that they're an 80 grit structure, they're probably an 80 grit when you finish dressing them. The wheel that we've got on this grinder is a Norton 3X. This is a ceramic aluminum wheel. They run cooler, cut better than the aluminum oxide wheels. and far better than the carborundum wheels that come on your grinders. So that's an upgrade on there, and well worth a few extra dollars. The next upgrade is the cubic boron nitrate, CBN wheels. These are a bit more expensive, but they give you roughly the life of 5 or 6 of your stone wheels. So they, in the long run, they're far better and far more economical. They run cooler again than the stone wheels, even the premium stone wheels. They run cooler, and I can get them in much finer grit. That means I can get much sharper edges. When I'm doing small diameter work, my spindle work, I like a 180 or finer grit wheel. When I'm doing large diameter work, like roughing out large bowl blanks, 12 inches and larger, I'll drop back to a 80 or a 180 CBN wheel for that work. I keep the ceramic aluminum wheels around because I can get much coarser grits. I run a 46 on one side of my grinder, and that gives me a very coarse edge to rough shape the tool very, very quickly. The next thing we want to look at, once we've got our grinder decided on wheels, are jigs. Here we've got the one-way Wolverine system. It comes with a base unit for each side, comes with a platform, a V-arm, and then you want to pick up the optional Varigrind accessory. We'll explain how all of those work as we go through this demo. When you're mounting a new wheel, something that's important to talk about, especially a stone wheel, is these don't always run true, and they can be broke in transit. So the first thing you want to do when you're talking about mounting a new wheel is I remove the plastic bushings. There's a set of 3 for different size arbors. I replace those with an R3X machine bushing. That gives me a good purchase out here on the side and sets this so that it runs good and true. A lot less vibration problems that way. When we're talking about buying a wheel, I want to look for this code right here. This is 3X80-K. 3X is the manufacturer's designation for the wheel. 80 is the grit. The -K tells me about how hard or how soft the wheel is. We're dealing with tool steels as wood turners that are in the medium range of hardness of tool steel. So we want a grinding wheel that's in the medium range of hardness so that it cuts properly. It's an alphabetical scale, goes from A to Z. A being the softest, Z being the hardest. So when you buy inexpensive white wheels out of aluminum oxide, they're typically very hard. If they've got a coat on them, it'll be an N or an M. If there's no coat, it's usually because they're very, very hard. It's a lot easier to make a hard wheel than one that breaks down at a consistent rate, or a frayable wheel. And so that is the frayability, is that K. The next test we want to do, once we've decided on the wheel, but before we mount this on the grinder, is a ring test. Take any tool that you've got and just give that just a little flick with your finger, and you hear a little ring. If it's a thud, you have a cracked wheel. Do not mount a cracked wheel onto your grinder. They can explode as they wind up to speed. So this is very important that anytime you put a stone wheel on the grinder that you ring test it. CBN wheels don't have any problems with needing an extra hub or anything like that running true. You're not going to crack a solid metal hub, so you don't have to ring a CBN wheel. They come out to be much safer in the long run, along with running cooler. If you bump your hand or your arm into a stone wheel, they can cut you quite severely. They grab you. If you bump into the CBN wheels, you're much less likely to get caught up in a CBN wheel. The worst injuries I've seen in 15 years in the classroom, all 3 of them have came from a grinder, as people have stuck their hands in. One of the key things, or touched them as they're running,
and 2 of those did literally reach out and grab the wheel to see if it was running. Don't use your fingers as brakes, please. As you can see with a CBN wheel, I don't have an enlarged hub. It is machined to fit my grinder, so that causes a lot less problems with wobble. This one is machined with a steel hub. Some are machined with aluminum hubs. They both work fine. Steel is a better cooling agent or heat sink than aluminum tends to be. And if you ever slip off the tool off of the jig and catch, and I'll explain that later, the steel hubs are a little bit more durable that way. We have the cubic boron nitrate abrasive here on the face of the wheel. Some have them on the sides. That can be handy for some of your carbide cutters. The CBN is only to be used with high-speed steel or hardened tool steels. Never, ever grind soft steel with your cubic boron nitrate wheels. Your jigs are made out of soft steel, so don't let your jigs touch your grinding wheels. What happens is it either buries the metal that it's removed into the surface, or it will actually lift the CBN abrasive right off of the wheel. Either way, it does permanent damage, and they can't be restored once you've done that. Other than that, you'll get a much longer life out of your CBN wheels, and they're a lot safer if you bump into them. Okay, we're going to start with the first tool that we used in this series, and that will be our spindle roughing gouge. One handy tip for any of your tools is to take a marker and color off the bevel. That way you know once you've ground off the ink, you know you've got your jig set where you want to be. Now, anybody that's seen the packaging for the Wolverine sharpening jig has seen a picture of a spindle roughing gouge cradled in a V-arm, just like that, and picture is worth 1,000 words. That's obvious as to how that ought to be sharpened. But there are some drawbacks there. Once I lock that in place, you see there's quite a bit of movement. Now that I've got it set, there is no fine adjustment. So if I'm not right on my bevel, as I turn my wheel by hand, and turn the opposite wheel by hand, that way you don't run your thumb into the cutting edge. When I look and I see how much ink has been removed, then I know I need to adjust it. I need to adjust this going in a little bit. As I lock that on, there's movement again. That little bit, I move that, went clear to the other side. I've got to come out just a little bit. I can hear a difference in there. That actually sounds like it's getting better. And there I'm grinding all the way down that bevel. So that is matched up now. I could turn that on and grind it. Now I've got all the weight of the tool plus my hands and any pressure I'll be putting on there working against that grinding wheel. Its purpose in life is to make that steel shorter. Once the steel gets shorter, the wheel gets smaller. I've got to reset this each and every time. I've got to go through that same struggle. So it's not the easiest way to set this up. And as I come over to the side, grind over to the side of the tool, it has a tendency to roll the edge over. One of my beliefs in sharpening is your number one enemy in sharpening any turning tool is the handle of the tool. And so if I could avoid using the handle to sharpen the tool, I will. Now when I say avoid using the handle, it's this part. I don't want to use the handle to sharpen the tool. Rather than using the V-arm, we're going to move over and use the platform. The platform is much easier to set up and can be set up rather than just using the marker and test on there. I can get a setup tool for that. The Raptor setup jigs are very handy. I'm gonna use my 35-degree Raptor. I put the long edge down onto the platform, and then I'm gonna size the wheel to the two parts of the bird's mouth. Once that's set, I lock everything up secure. Having the long side and the two parts of the bird's mouth touching the wheel, I've set the platform in exactly the same place each and every time. While I may be just slightly off of 35 degrees exact, I'm not so concerned that I'm exactly reading 35 on a protractor. I'm more concerned that each and every time I put my tool onto the jig, I'm at the same setting. The wood doesn't really know if I'm at 35 or 36. And then as we do some of the other tools, we'll use other Raptors for setting those up. And there's a full series of Raptors available. Now that I'm ready to turn the grinder on, again, I've removed the guards so that you can see what's going on here today. You probably want to have those down between your eyes and the wheel. Metal shavings in your eye is not fun. And the abrasive stones are even worse. So always remember, put on your personal protective equipment. I'm going to have my safety glasses on. As I sharpen this tool, I mentioned my handle's my number one enemy. So I don't hold on to the back of the handle. I'm going to come up to the front of the handle. Bring my grinder up to speed. My left thumb is going to hold the tool flat on the rest, and my right hand controls it. Same thing as how I do, as how I use the tool when I'm turning. And I'm just going to bring that around, and my right thumb comes into the tool, into the foot of the tool, and it finds that flat spot. I do not want to roll that tool any further than where that flat spot is. I don't want to soften that edge up. My corners on mine are clipped back just a little bit to keep a nice clean cutting edge so that I can cut right up to the corners, for instance, in a pummel. And if you look, single pass, I removed all that ink from before. Much easier to set up using the Raptor and get that repeatable than it is to use the V-arm. So on my spindle roughing gouge, I want that edge ground square across. I do not pull wings back on this tool. I'm not trying to get something that'll take off big wide shavings. This is more than aggressive enough if I need to, and will still take a very fine, delicate cut. Our next tool is our parting tool. And I mentioned on my parting tool, when I used it, I've got two different bevels. I've got a long bevel and a short bevel. I don't worry about setting a platform up at all for this. I just come up, anchor, find my bevel, grind one surface, got a little bit more to grind. And do the next surface. What I want to make sure of is that I've got the cutting edge running down this rib on both sides. The long bevel is ground first, and then the short bevel. That way it puts a burr up on this top surface. And I know when I pick the tool up, which edge I want up on top and which edge I want on my tool rest. The next tool we used was our skew. There's not a Raptor for the skew. And the reason there's not is that it's a much sharper angle, and when you change the diameter of your wheels, you lose control of which bevel angle or of the bevel angle that you've got because the radius changes so much at these sharper angles. So we are going to use the platform and we'll use the marker. You'll bring that base in just a little bit. Find my anchor on my rest. Find my bevel. Turn the opposite wheel by hand. You don't want your thumb coming down into that cutting edge. You can slice your finger to the bone with a dull turning tool. As I look at that, I'm cutting down most of that ink. This has a slight curve on this tool, so I don't expect to get all of the ink. As I sharpen my skew, my left hand acts as a fulcrum with my left thumb, and I just rock that tool. I do not bring that tool all the way down to where it's parallel to the wheel. That'll round this edge over. I don't want that. I want to be just up to that skew angle. So I stop right there at that skew angle, 10 to 12 degrees or so. Now it's also interesting to note with this skew and the way this grinder and this platform's set up, that as I swing this around, right there I'm catching the corner of my platform. Then I'm in all the way tight. This skew is still got an awful lot of life left in it. One Way makes a mini platform, which will get me a lot closer and let me continue to use this skew for a lot more years. The next tool we'll talk about is our skew that wasn't ground with a radius on the tip. This is straight across. To grind this style skew, I come up and I move across the face of the wheel without rocking the tool.
It's a skew. He called it a skew.
My left thumb holds the tool down onto the rest. You don't want to go to all this trouble, set the rest up, have your hand back on the handle, and lift that tool off the platform. Keep it anchored down flat on that platform. The next tool that we used was our box scraper. Now my box scraper has got a clearance angle and then about an 80-degree nose angle. The clearance angle is just ground at any angle sharper than the nose angle. I'm going to hold the tool flat on the rest and stop just short of coming around parallel, just like we did on the skew. I want that on a radiused surface, a radiused edge. And then the clearance angle there, I don't care what angle that is, and I'll even grind that sideways in order to get material off even quicker. I don't even bother to set up a jig. While we're on the topic of scrapers, that'll raise a little burr up over the top of this. And you run your thumb over it and you can feel that burr. Run your thumb about 10 or 12 times on there and you'll feel that burr come right off of there. Burrs are very short-lived animals. So when you're using a scraper for a finished cut, you want to work very quickly with that, or sharpen quite often would be a better way of putting that. Every pass or two, you typically want to raise your burr back up. Now, this being a box scraper, it should be said, it's mostly going into end grain, which is the hardest way to cut the wood and can be the most aggressive. The harder and denser the wood, the smaller the burr I want up here. The softer the wood, the bigger the burr. So if I'm doing a box out of an exotic wood, I may even go in and take my a fine grit stone, this one's 300, and hone that. But I always remove that burr off the top first. My bowl scrapers are the same thing. I remove the burr. Now these, I do sharpen at a 60-degree nose angle or less. And I do have a 60-degree Raptor. So again, the long point on the, or the flat point on the Raptor, the 2 parts on the bird's beak for setting up the platform. If I'm going in a softer hardwood like what we've got available, oftentimes I'll go to my stone wheels to raise a bigger bird. My box elders, my soft maples. My harder, denser timbers, I'll be over on my CDMs. The next scraper let's talk about is our negative rake scrapers. Negative rake scrapers are going to be less aggressive than your traditional scrapers, which I just showed you. These are ground top and bottom. However, I use the same bevel angle for both surfaces. I use the 35-degree angle on both of them. I have friends that use a 33-degree angle. Why? They've got a gauge that checks a 33-degree angle. I've got a gauge that sets a 35. This is the top of the tool. This one's shaped for the end of a goblet or a scoop. And I'm going to come in and sharpen the top. First, and then turn the tool over and sharpen the bottom. Now, as quick as the bevel wore off of the traditional scraper, it wears off of a negative rate 3 to 4 times faster. So if your best cut is only going to last for maybe 10 seconds with a negative rate scraper. You've got maybe 30 seconds with a traditional scraper. Our next tools are going to be our bowl and spindle gouges. So to set up for those, I'm going to remove the platform. Set it to the side, take my V-arm, and trade places. I'm going to set my V-arm with my 50-degree Raptor, using my bowl gouge. Now, the reason I use a 50 on my bowl gouge is it cuts everything that I needed to cut. It can cut from the inside, on the inside of the bowl, it can cut from the rim to the bottom. On the outside of the bowl, it can cut from the bottom to the rim. And it can do it with the tailstock in place for most of the cuts.
Those Raptor
So,
gauges
to
are
me, I
about
find it
$11 or
one of the most
$12 a
versatile
piece.
angles for all the cuts that I need. I also find it one of the most durable angles. And when you're turning bowls, you see a lot of surface wood, or a lot of surface area coming past your cutting edge. So I want a good durable cutting edge. So I'm going to drop the claw of the Raptor into the pocket, and then match the 2 parts of the bird's mouth up to the wheel. Securely lock the jig.
What angle did you say this was? 50.
I'm going to take my V-arm and my bowl gouge. I'm going to bring my tool and put it into the Varigrind like this. I've got the leg towards the rear. I've got 2 different Raptor protrusion jigs here. The 2.5 inch sets my clearance angle on my tool, and my 2 inch sets my primary angle. You have to use the 2.5 inch when I want to do the clearance. Most often I come right to the 2 inch. I can then place the Varigrind in the pocket. One of the things you want to be aware of is that this stays back. If you've got a tool with a heavy handle, especially some of the modular handles, it wants to push you out of that pocket. So keep it back into that pocket. I keep my right hand right up on the tool and the Varigrind. My left hand comes underneath and supports. One of the most dangerous things that you can do is to have your hand over the top of this. What makes it dangerous is if you fall off of the wheel, your hand then can get caught into the wheel. So support it from underneath. You're going to do one wing, keep that moving all the time. Do the second wing, and then blend the nose of the tool to the two wings. Practice that motion a few times with the grinder off so that you know your hands are in a nice safe position. Before you bring the grinder up to speed, do one wing, come off the wheel, do the second wing, and then blend the tip of the tool through the wing. I like to take a look at this surface here, and I want to see a nice smooth arc coming up over the tool and down through there. If I've got a low spot somewhere in this area or a straight edge, either of those conditions could be a problem. Here's a drawing of showing the little hook jaw or the hook that the tool can get in there. Now that can be caused from a couple of things. One is flute design, but oftentimes it's caused from just spending too much time on the side of that tool right at that tip, and that brings that curve around and not blending that nose. So you want to watch for that you don't generate that condition. A good properly sharpened tool will work much like this. Nice curve across the top. I've got my primary bevel here, my clearance bevel here, and you can see about where the center line for the bottom of the fluid is traveling through there. Nice curve on that top, that's important. I don't want that getting straight or concave in there. I want a nice curve across the top. Curved edges slice cleaner than straight edges. All right, the control arm here on our bear grind is set just under this second notch. And that's an important setting. What this setting does is it changes the angle that I've got here on the wing. If I move this leg forward, what it does is it changes my wing angle and it makes it really, really straight. And that really straight-sided wing can be very dangerous. The 3/8 ball gouge on the bottom is ground with the control leg forward. And you can see that the wing is much longer and sharper coming up to the cutting edge than the gouge on top. I don't want that long, thin, sharp edge on my gouges. This long, thin edge is used by some turners for a shear straight, but it's not good when I go to do a push cut. I want the versatility of a tool that will do both. And so I bring that control leg up to that second notch. As we set this control leg, I want to have just under that second notch, and there's just enough room I can grab that with a fingernail, or see a little daylight going through there. With this control leg set at the second notch, I get the side reinforcement that I want on my cutting edge, gives me a more durable edge, and is less prone to catches than one where the control leg is thrown forward. The next tool let's talk about is our spindle gouge. My spindle gouge goes back into the varigrind and uses the 2-inch protrusion, just like the bull gouge. Going to set my 2-inch protrusion. I'm going to use my 45-degree raptor to set my V-arm. Claw in the pocket, then the two parts of the bird's mouth against the wheel.
You sure?
You come into the pocket of my V-arm, my left hand underneath, my right hand over the top. Just like on my bull gouge, I'm going to sharpen my left wing, then come off the stone, do my right wing, and then blend the two together. Now I want that left hand underneath for support. I'm not afraid of the sparks coming by there. As you watch, there won't be any real sparks. I'm more concerned about dropping this jig off the tool off the face, and this jig and the tool hitting into my wheel. That can do significant damage to your wheel. It can bend your jig, It can even bugger up your grinder. I've seen the shafts bent on some of the grinder motors. But if your hand's over the top of that, you can replace all this equipment for less than you can go to the emergency room. So keep your hands protected. We'll bring the grinder up to speed. One wing, then the other wing, and blend the tip to the two wings. Now you notice when I did that with the grinder off, I said start with the left, then go to the right. With the grinder on, I went right to left. It doesn't matter if you go right to left or right, but do them in separate motions. Don't try and do it all in one sweep. You won't get the shape that you want. Again, I want to look for that curve across the top and across the back. My 3/8 gouge is sharpened just like my 1/2 inch gouge in my spindle gouges, and so is my 3/8 bowl gouge sharpened just like my 1/2 inch bowl gouge. The one bowl gouge we haven't talked about is our traditional ground bowl gouge. On our traditional or our bottoming gouge, I don't use a platform. You could, if that's your choice. I'm not going to set up the platform. I just use my left hand resting on the jig clamp to set this. Now the reason I don't use the Varigrind to grind this either is the Varigrind will pull the wings back. This tool is ground with the wings straight across, just like your spindle roughing gouge. Every bowl that I do is a little bit different. I want this bevel angle to be as sharp as I can and cut from the rim to the base of the bowl without hitting the rim. If I'm too sharp here, I'm going to hit the rim. If I'm too blunt, then I have to push across the face. So it's a happy compromise. But I want the tool as sharp as I possibly can without hitting the edge. I'm probably somewhere around a 50-degree on the bevel angle, and that would be a good place to start with if you want to set up a platform. To sharpen this, I bring my grinder up to speed. I use my hand as a rest, and then I come in, find the bevel on the tool, bring it up to where I get my cutting edge, and then sweep the tool around. And then it's got a rather long, sharp clearance angle. The advantage of that long clearance angle is it's got material out of the way. It makes it very easy for me to lift or drop the handle and change the bevel angle on that short bevel that I've got. Also on that finish cut, I want that short bevel so that I have less compressed fiber and I have fewer compression rings in the bowl that I would need to sand out later. One of the things we need to consider is dressing our wheels. You can see on this wheel it's starting to get a little color, a little black color. That's steel that just came off of tools earlier. You may also get a pit. If you're sharpening a tool and you feel a bounce because you've got a pit or a low spot, these have got hard and soft spots in them occasionally, and so you'll get a little bit of a bounce. Anytime you're getting a bounce, you need to come in and dress the wheel. Now there's a couple of types of dressers out there. The old star wheels, these will abrade the wheel and do a very good job of getting you back to the coarsest grip possible on your grinder, but they will not shape the wheel. The diamond impregnated diamond dressers are by far the best way to do this. There are some that are diamond plated rather than diamond impregnated. I'd spend a few extra dollars, get a diamond impregnated one. This goes down probably close to 1/4 of an inch. It's got diamond impregnated into the dresser. Most of us will never wear one of these out. You will, however, wear out 2 or 3 of those diamond plated ones. I'll bring the grinder up to speed. I've got my jig, my platform set up. It's nice and secure. I don't care about the angle. I'm going to set the angle with my diamond dresser and just having it come in close. See, it doesn't take a lot of pressure to get that to work. I'm starting to get dust. Now I'm sweeping back and forth, and I'm trying to put a slight dome on my wheel. I like that little bit of dome. Then when I work in the center of the wheel, and I wear it down to a flat spot, I can work the edges. Once I started doing that, rather than trimming the wheel off flat, I started doubling the life of my stone wheels. If you want a dead flat wheel, I'll show you how to do that. Come in with your dresser, lock in. I can use the end of my platform as a rest, just secure it, and then pressure down, and come across and back. A few passes like that, and then take care of that really quick. You can start to see the dust kicking up here. This is very harmful dust. Wear your personal protection. You really don't want this to get down into your lungs. This is an abrasive. So it's not like the wood fibers, which are bad. This is worse. Now that I've got my stone dressed up, this is one of the examples on why I keep a coarse stone. I'm going to take this ball gouge, and the wing's getting rather long on it for me, and the wing angle is wrong, so I want to reset this. In order to do that, I'm going to put, it's called profile with the gouge. So I'm going to take with the flute and point the flute towards the wheel. And I rock the tool in order to get the curve that I want. I've got metal where I've dulled that up. You can see the reflection. I'm going to hand grind some of that surface away. You could go ahead and set your jig up. Once I've got the bulk of that out of the way, I'm going to go ahead and stop my wheel. It's a bowl gouge, 50-degree Raptor. Set the claw in, set it up. My bearer grind, 2 inches. Bring the grinder back up to speed. And I profile the tool. I no longer can see a reflection on the cutting edge. If you can see a reflection on your cutting edge, you don't have a cutting edge. A good cutting edge will not reflect light. I've got clearance angles still here on this. That doesn't bother me. That's ready to go to the finer grit wheel and then go to the piece I'm turning. In order to dress my CBN wheels, and these do load up occasionally. It doesn't have to be dressed as often as my stone wheels do, and absolutely under no circumstances take your diamond wheel dresser or your star wheel dresser to your CBN wheels. Either of those two options will ruin your CBN wheel. Use a soft CBN dresser, and that just slides across the front. A couple of passes is all it takes. It does wear your dresser down, but it also, what that does is it cleans out between the grit particles, it cleans out the wheel and allows you to cut better all the way across. So once you're practicing frequently, you'll find that the most difficult tool to sharpen will be your bowl gouge. Practice it with the grinder off, get your hand position right, and then practice it with the grinder on. Once you're comfortable with this, you'll be comfortable sharpening everything. So now we've learned to sharpen our tools. Practice this frequently. The sharper your tools, the cleaner your cut, the less sandpaper you'll buy. It's much cheaper to sharpen the tool than it is to buy the sandpaper to tear out, or to clean up torn out grain. So I'll go to the grinder and make another cut if that's what it takes, just to avoid a little sanding. Practice this frequently, and you'll notice with the setup of the jigs, the Raptors, the Wolverines, and the combination of everything, it doesn't take me long at all to change from one setting to the next and get consistency out of the system. And therefore, that also helps me cut cleaner because I'm used to the way my tools cut and the sharp edges on them.
All right. How many people have CBN wheels? Oh boy, that's pretty amazing. So everybody pretty much sharpens their own tools. Did anybody have the Raptors or? Yeah, Tony, you like them?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. Kind of cool. I've seen them before, and I've seen them on. I've never seen them set up and how they work. I didn't realize they could do as much as they could out of them. So nice. It was like I just looked online. If you buy 3, they're $10.95, and singly they're $11.95. So you can get $1 break if you buy 3 of them. So, all right, that's all we got. Next month is going to be Christmas ornaments, unless somebody else has something you want to do. No, okay. So we'll do Christmas ornaments. I'll do a couple of the ones from last year I did, and then I have new one too I want to do. Okay? Very good. Thank you, everybody.
Have a good night. Thank you.
Yeah. See ya. Have some more gourds.
I'll take one more.
All right.
I like the orange
Yeah, please take gourds. How about a round one? You need a round one.
one. All right.
In contrast. All right. More gourds left.
I think was it you that had the plants?
Huh?
When they put something down there, I lose that piece of wood.
What do you need?
I mean, as far as turning the fly. This is the piece of glass floor, but it has that crack all the way through. Like that, you can roll it up, look through it. So, anything I do with that. And then
Clean up here again.
I blew the top out. Still fine. So I get you that. So that's a piece of mulberry that I plugged in there. One of them. So I didn't know what a mulberry name, but
Did you put the epoxy in? I got a whole bunch
One I did. Good. Never used it before. So I cut my bolt out for the size of the bolt. This. Wow. And I just poured it down to the bottom. Up that thick. Nothing sour.
You filled the whole bottom.
Yeah, not the bottom, not the, I didn't fill the whole thing, I just put it about that much on the bottom. I put, tape across the bottom.
I've never heard of talking before. I've seen it a lot.
Yeah, I like the green. Yeah, that's the same stuff. Yeah, and that I think was. I think I've never down.
Sugar high, aren't you? Bouncing off the wall.
No, actually, it went down.
I don't say it on
And the interesting thing was,
I did.
she went to the same place. And she says, oh, that's the guy from our club.
Oh, yeah, just the lead part. I took them in the house and he said,
Okay, I'll leave that. I just was cleaning.
I can't smell gas now.
Yeah, I noticed that. Is that your first haul somewhere?
No, well, it's done scratching. The fine thing I put on
I started with, no, it's that black CA glue.
Okay.
I started filling the cracks, and I probably should have stopped, and then I started getting kind of carried away with filling all these little things.
I got carried
You
away.
know,
No, that's my daughter.
I did a, thanks, I didn't have the article.
Very
Yeah. So I
The fit was so good.
thing in my drill shop that,
We took a ice.
Scotch Brite pad.
Last week. We
Cut a
just
piece
go out
off,
hiking. My
put it on a
cousin
little
was down from
Velcro
Vermont, so
pad,
we were out in the woods, and I
loaded
had
the other side with walnut. I just polished it with that.
My cousin is a woodworker.
It's
He
like
does
not
a
a bad finish.
great- He doesn't do anything
Not
very
too shiny, but you know. You think? Be nice. It's just one of the things that I've like gone back to so many times, and changed things and redone things, that I'm just like, leave it done, I'm not messing with it anymore.
on the bottom?
Yeah, it's starting to come
All
off
right,
though,
guys.
you can kind of
Hey,
see
I
how
won't get over there, bud.
mess-
When you gotta get over to my place,
Yeah, I'm messing with it,
Yeah.
change that even.
Now, what's next week?
Hey, can you guys help me stack up the chairs and stack up the, I don't know how he wants them exactly, but he thought them all stacked, so he like.
The next tool will be our bowl and spindle judges. So the setup for those.
Do we stack these stools or just put them
Yeah,
together?
no, he had them stacked.
How many?
That one doesn't fit. 3,
And then where?
right there where you got it.